I remember my first obstacle was just getting started. My first keyboard sale. It took a couple months.
Okay. So it was a couple of months. So, like, I'm curious, why didn't you just quit? Welcome to Future Titans, where we spotlight remarkable middle and high school entrepreneurs building real businesses that solve real problems. Every founder we speak to has received a $1,000 Formidable Fellowship grant. It's not equity, it's not debt, just a bit of inspiration capital to say keep doing what you're doing. If you're a student entrepreneur, we'd love to support you too. Just visit formidablefellowship.org to apply for a grant. It takes less than 5 minutes. And if you believe in empowering young builders, consider supporting our mission. All contributions are tax deductible. Now on to the conversation. All right. Hey, everybody. I am excited to have a really killer young entrepreneur with us today. His name is Jadon. Jadon, you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Jadon Chou. I live and go to school in Allen, Texas, and I'm going to Allen High School next year.
Okay. Nice. And so you built a business that I didn't even know was a thing until we met you. So maybe for the uninitiated, tell us a little bit about the business, the name, and what you do.
So my business, Jadon's Keyboard Consulting, it's basically a service-based business. We build keyboards for people who, like, they don't have the time or they don't have the resources or they don't know how to build them. We actually started this business because my friends, they were looking for keyboards and they didn't know how to build them. They wanted nice keyboards. So I was like, oh, I know how to make keyboards. Maybe I can make a business off of my skill, my hobby. So that's basically how the business came to be.
Okay, nice. So you saw this need in the market. And so, again, for somebody who knows nothing about mechanical keyboards, why does somebody need a mechanical keyboard? Is this for gaming? Is this for work? Is this just they look cool and some people like them? Like, what's the application of a mechanical keyboard?
I feel like basically the application of a mechanical keyboard is basically just aesthetics. Some people like the feel of the keyboards, they like the sound.
Okay, all right. So, like, I just buy like the generic store-bought keyboard, right? So if I get one of your keyboards, it looks cooler. What the keys make a louder sound? Is that kind of like the thing, or they make different sounds? What's that about?
They make different sounds. They have different aesthetics. I feel as most of my customers, they buy from me and not from generic brands is because they want something to match their setup. They like nice things. They may have not known how to build it, so they came to me to build it for them.
So Jadon, walk me through, the revenue and how much it cost you to make a mechanical keyboard for a customer.
So my revenue is basically how much the keyboard costs for materials and parts, plus my service fee, which depends. It's $20 to $50. For example, if someone had a 60% keyboard, which is a smaller type of keyboard, it would take me less time to build. So it would be about $20 to $30. But if they wanted a full size keyboard, 100%, it's the big ones. They would have to pay me about $40 to $50. It just all depends on time. And so for my revenue so far, I've made $1,800, and my profit is around 600. So my profit is basically just how much I charge for my service fees.
Okay. And so the parts and things that go into the mechanical keyboard, is that baked into that cost you gave me, or is that on top of the costs you just gave?
The parts and materials are baked into are already considered into the revenue.
Okay, great. And so how did you find all these customers, or how are they finding you?
Most of my customers were from word of mouth. Um, so I told my friends because a lot of my friends have bought from me before, and I told them to tell their other friends because their other friends they have PC setups too. So I was like, well, maybe you can tell your other friend about this because maybe I can sell to them too.
Okay, got it. And have you tried any other, so it's a lot of word of mouth. Have you tried any other marketing tactics, flyers, putting up posts on different social media, or has it been kind of all word of mouth so far?
Mostly word of mouth.
All right, Jaden. So walk me through how you've gotten customers. It sounds like word of mouth to friends was the initial way. Have you tried anything else? Paid ads, mass emails, any other strategies, or so far what's been working?
It's been mostly word of mouth. I had an idea of doing outbound emails to small businesses for big batch orders so I can sell 10 keyboards for a big batch order instead of selling one keyboard to one customer and making money that way. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think businesses are a great market, right? They're going to buy, as they grow, they're going to need they're going to have new employees. They might need, them to have keyboards. So I think it's a great market. I think like you as a young entrepreneur, they'll probably love supporting you too. So yeah, I think like, do you have a sense for what size businesses you'd go after?
Um, I'd go for small companies which have around 1 to 25 employees.
Okay, nice. That makes a lot of sense. Cool. No, I love that idea. Um, I'm curious, Jaden, was this sort of your first entrepreneurial idea, or had you done other entrepreneurial things before?
In elementary school, I used to sell snacks and candy to my schoolmates, and then that basically was my first business. And then eventually, um, I founded the keyboard business.
Okay, great. I'm curious, are there other entrepreneurs that you look up to, whether they're in the sort of keyboard business or otherwise, anybody that sort of is uh, either been you've learned from or that you find kind of inspiring? Who's in that category?
Um, I feel like I learned a lot of my skill from YouTubers. So YouTubers like Teha, Hypotech, Switch and Click, those are the main big YouTubers for bis- mechanical keyboard building. And I look up to the brand of Sumi. In 3 years, they've grown their business into a success, and their name is really big in the keyboard market. They've made a ton of money, and they're just really renowned.
Okay, nice. And so with these YouTube folks that you're following, are they mostly teaching you the the techniques of building a mechanical keyboard, or do they also talk about how to actually market and sell them as well?
Most of them just talk about how to build build keyboards.
Okay, cool. All right. So this wasn't something. All right. So you kind of self-taught yourself this, it sounds like. Okay, great. Um, Walk me through kind of, school. How's, any good sort of entrepreneurship lessons or things that you've learned from school, or have there been any teachers that have been sort of really impactful as you've been sort of building your business or helpful?
Um, I feel like most of what I learned was more at home than at school, but at school, I really like projects, which working with other people, teamwork, it's really fun for me. And I dislike assignment-based learning because I feel like assignment-based learning isn't really assignment-based learning doesn't make you think.
Got it. All right. So you like the project-based stuff versus like assignment-based learning. Is that sort of more memorization and things like that?
Yeah, memorization, finding stuff in text, things like that.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Um, all right. So what's next for the business, right? You just got $1,000 from the Formidable Fellowship. Congratulations. Where do you think you're going to deploy that money and invest that in the business?
I'm gonna use the grant money on advertising and a website. Advertising would help my business get more customers, in turn growing my business. and getting even more clients. A website would serve as a hub showcasing my services and pricing, providing information and encouraging client engagement. Basically, those two would help me grow my business. So I'd spend most of my money on advertising in a website.
Okay. And how will you go about building that website? Do you think is that something do you already know how to do that, or are you going to teach yourself, or are you going to have a friend do that for you?
Um, I have a website already. I just need to publish it to the internet.
Oh, nice. And how did you build that? Did you just self-teach yourself that as well?
I built it on an app. It's an application called Durable AI. Basically, they help you make the website, and you just have to pay them a premium every month to keep your website up.
Okay. Okay. Nice. And so like is that like an AI coder? It kind of like does a lot of the actual coding for you, or did you do the coding?
Um, they did most of the coding, yes.
Oh, nice. Okay. Cool. We live in amazing times. That's great. Um, so what is, now you've got this business, it's doing well, it has momentum. Uh, what's the business taught you about uh, money, life, what's like what are your main lessons that you've taken away so far?
I feel like entrepreneurship has taught me sometimes you have to splurge and sometimes you have to save. For example, I had a dry spell for a couple of months. That'd be a good time to save because, well, for advertising, you could spend on advertising, but if you're buying more inventory during the dry spell, it's not really going to grow your business, right? But another example, my business is booming, right? I'm getting a ton of customers. That'd be a perfect opportunity to invest everything back into my business to grow it even bigger. So I feel like that's the main lesson that I learned. Sometimes you have to splurge and sometimes you have to save.
Okay, I love it. Um, how has making money kind of changed your view of it, right? Like do you treat money differently now that you're earning it yourself?
Definitely. With my money, I feel like I save a lot more. For example, I want to save a lot more for my business. I don't want to spend as much for just useless stuff.
Okay, okay. Um, so, you mentioned that dry spell. Was that sort of, as you think back on building the business, was that sort of your first kind of obstacle or hardship? Or walk me through maybe any hardships, obstacles that you faced and what happened?
Um, Definitely. So I remember my first obstacle was just getting started because it was pretty hard. I remember my first keyboard sale. It took a couple months. Looking back, my first sale probably took so long because my marketing was not effective, which was word of mouth. It needed some momentum to get going, and I just didn't know how to market.
Okay. So it was a couple of months. So like, I'm curious, why didn't you just quit?
Feel like I didn't quit because it was my hobby, it was my passion. So even if the business didn't work out, I could still go back to my hobby. So I feel like um quitting wasn't really an option. So
Gotcha. Okay. Um, and so, for another young entrepreneur out there who's like thinking about starting something, any advice that you'd give them as they're thinking about starting a business?
I think a good advice I'd give is to try new things because you never know what's the right fit for you. But for example, don't try to do so many things at once. Like, for example, I want to do a lemonade stand, plus I want to do a keyboard business, plus I want to do something else. I can't do all three at the same time, right? So I have to do one thing at once and see if it works. If I try really hard and it doesn't work, go to the next thing because I never know what's going to succeed.
Okay, that makes sense. And so I'm curious, Jaden, if somebody did have three ideas, or let's say you had three ideas, how would you pick between those? Do you have a sense for like what makes something more interesting than something else?
So I feel like for the first one, my first option, if I had to pick, I'd pick what's my passion. For example, what's a business I really want to do? If out of those three, it's only one, then I choose the one because I don't want to do something that I wouldn't want to do. My second deciding factor is if the business is gonna work, if I think it's gonna work. For example, my keyboard business is really good, but my candy business back in when I was in elementary school, it wasn't working that well. So I decide between which is the better fit and which can succeed.
Okay. It's a great framework. I think for anybody listening, what do you like to do and what do you think has good odds of success? That's a pretty simple, straightforward way of thinking about which business to pick or any decision to make. Um, has there been a moment as you built the business that you were like, that just made you really happy, right? Like, was it a difficult customer that you won over? Somebody that you thought would never buy from you that bought from you? Is there any moment you were like, oh, wow, this feels really good?
So I remember this customer, he came to me and he had a really large order and I was really happy because I could make a lot of money off of that. It was a big order, so I charged him $100 for the service fee, and I remember just being really happy because I had like a big batch, I had a big order, so.
That's great. That's great. And have you had to, in a business like yours, I imagine there's, sometimes a customer is not happy for some reason. Have you had to deal with any customers, kind of customer service challenges or people coming to you with problems?
Um, no, before I deliver my keyboards, I ensure that I've created what my customers want. So I check the quality and everything. So when I deliver it, the customer is always really happy because they got what they wanted.
Okay, amazing. Well, that's great business right there. I love it. Um, let's talk about your dream, right? Or a little bit. Like, do you have a sense for where you want to take this business? You're entering high school or you're going to be entering high school. Um, with the website and the advertising, like, where do you think this can go?
I see my business eventually making at least $10,000 in revenue. I think that's a really realistic goal. I want to hire employees and I want it to become an international business. So, for example, people from around the state or around from other countries, they can order from my business.
Okay, nice. And I'm curious, Jadon, where did the entrepreneurship bug come from, right? You're selling candy in elementary school, now you're doing this. Like, was this, your parents, you had somebody in your family, an older sibling, school? Like, where did you get this bug from? YouTube?
I feel like it was mostly from my family because um my family we're middle class and my parents are and my brother, they're always talking about investing and like talking about money. So I was like, oh, maybe I could start a business. It seems kind of interesting. So I think that's the thing that drove my entrepreneurship.
Okay, awesome. Um, if we go back to, I should have asked this earlier, if we go back to the YouTube folks that you admire, if we could get them in the room with us right now, is there a set of questions, one or two questions that you'd want to ask them that might help you grow your business?
I think if the company that I mentioned earlier, Osume, if their founders were in the room, I'd ask them, how do you market and advertise so well? How has your company become so popular in the last 3 years? And how do you keep your product quality so high? I feel like those questions would be really great for me and for my business to grow.
Okay. Yep. We'll see if we can make that happen. All right. Amazing, Jadon. Thanks so much for the time. And if folks want to buy a mechanical keyboard from you, where should they go?
They can email me at jadonchoubusiness.com, JADONCHOU business@gmail.com.
Okay. Cool. And we'll include that in the show notes. And if by the time we publish, Jadon's website is live, we'll also push that there. If anybody's in the market for a mechanical keyboard, you heard it here. He's had 0 customer service issues. So Jadon clearly cares about quality. So please hit him up. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.